leading lawyers back an open letter to the Home Secretary opposing a ban on Palestine Action. I'm going to read into this more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with a headline that leading lawyers back open letter to the Home Secretary opposing the ban on Palestine Action. Senior barristers and campaigners have warned Keir Starmer's government is conflicting peaceful protests with genuine terrorism. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. I've covered before about what the definition of terrorism is, and Palestine Action are not terrorists. They are not. They should not be associated with that term, terrorist. They are a protest group that does cause trouble and cause damage to property. Yes, that has been proven. But terrorism is not right. To call them terrorists is ridiculous. They have not killed people. They have not targeted specific groups. If you can point to facts or evidence where Palestine Action have actually brought direct harm or death to Israelis or Jewish people, feel free to point that in the right direction to me if that is true. But don't just write in the comments saying they have without providing evidence to support it, because I've heard a lot of people make those accusations with no evidence to support it, where they say, oh, it's online, and it's just like, well, show me, give me a link, and they don't respond after that, almost as if they want to. It's almost as if they're lying to us. Here's the thing, like, I don't agree with what Palestine, some of the things that Palestine Action do. I do believe they crossed the line in some regards. Do I think what Palestine Action did at that RAF base, spray painting the aircraft, do I think it was justified? Do I think that they should be branded a terrorist group as a result of it? No. But do I think they should face consequences for them? Yes. Do I think they should face prison time for it? Hell no. That's just stupid. I don't think they should face prison time for it. Like, and here's the thing, like, they didn't do anything that directly harmed the British Army. What they actually did in a weird sort of way is they actually benefited them, because they showed how easy it was to get into a military base. And if it's easy for them to get into a military base, how easy will it be for professionals to get inside their bases? If a bunch of protesters can sneak into an RAF base and do what they did, imagine what professionals would do. Professional agents would do. Would be very easy for them, wouldn't it? How much of them have they done? How much of some of our enemies, so-called enemies, have done that already? It's a question you should be asking yourself. So thousands of Brits, including leading barristers, have signed an open letter to Labour's Home Secretary Yvette opposing the planned ban on Palestine Action. The letter argues that in banning the non-violent civil disobedience group, the government is dangerously conflating peaceful protests with real dangers of genuine terrorism. The move is set to become law by Saturday, July the 5th. So at the time of this recording, it may be dropped and it may be pushed ahead. We don't know. The lawyers and signatories condemn the double standards of the government, arguing that they are seeking to criminalise direct action whilst themselves at risk of breaching international law, given the International Court of Justice findings plausible genocide in Gaza. And they argue a ban would be a drain on public resources, adding an unjustified burden on the justice system, for criminalising potentially thousands of pro-Palestinian activists who back the group. Quote, it is our hope that the Home Secretary will recognise both the moral arguments and the strength of feeling in civil society in this matter, and more resolute from this proscription, the spokesperson added. Backers will be handing over the letter to the Home Secretary in Parliament on Wednesday. That would already happened. Spokesperson for the Haitian Society of Socialist Lawyers, which coordinated the letter, said, in a few days our letter to the Home Secretary has been endorsed by a coalition of thousands of diverse voices, ranging from stonemasons to vicars, KC's peers, MPs, actors, teachers, trade unions, and campaigners for peace and justice. Two other groups will be banned this week: a Russian neo-Nazi group, the Maniacs Murder Cult, and the Russian Imperial Movement, the RIM. It will make it a criminal offence to be a member of one of these groups, or to invite or recklessly express support for them, punishable up to 14 years in prison. The government said in a statement today that the move to ban PA follows its orchestration and inaction of aggressive and intimidatory attacks against businesses, institutions and the public. which have crossed the threshold established in the Terrorism Act 2000, particularly following the break-in to the RSF base, Brits Northern base in Oxfordshire, allegedly by Palestine Action earlier this month. Yvette Cooper added, national security is the first duty of any government, and we always take the action needed to protect our democracy and national security against different threats. The right to protest and the free speech are the cornerstones of our democracy, and there are countless campaign groups that freely exercise those rights. Violence and similar criminal damage has no place in a legitimate protest. Well, again, like, where, I just don't buy this, from the Home Secretary. So, let me read the letter here. So this is the joint opening letter here to the Home Secretary. So we as individuals or as organisations represent a broad spectrum of civil society and the legal community are writing to you in response to a threat to the prescribing the grassroots solidarity and direct action group Palestine Action. The United Kingdom has a long and proud history of direct action that opposes military intervention, from Greenham Common to the 2 million marching in London against the invasion of Iraq. British governments of different political persuasions have respected people's right to peacefully protest. Indeed, as in the case of R.V. Jones makes clear, the appellants acted as they did because they wished to impede, obstruct and disrupt the commission of that crime, or what they believe to be the commission of that crime. Her Majesty's government, or the government of the United States, against Iraq in the weeks and days before, as we now know, hostilities began. Any attempts to criminalise a peaceful direct action, including by mislabelling them as terrorism, would raise grave concerns, some of which are listed below for your consideration. It would be unwise to blur the very clear lines between peaceful protest and terrorism by using misleading rhetoric. This conflation can underplay the credible damage of genuine terrorism, legitimise terrorism in the eyes of those members of the public who support this cause, and confer unjustified renown on groups that are unfairly prescribed. In a series of acts contrary to international law, the UK government appears to be using the RFF Brits Northern base to onwards several RAF acrogi that in turn is used by our allies and the UK to facilitate what the ICJ has found to be a plausible genocide in Gaza. As a party state to the Genocide Convention, facilitating such a genocide would be particularly egregious a breach of international law, and by the UK government is seriously seeking to criminalise those peaceful protesting this genocide using proscription, a further doubling down on the acts rather than remedying the areas of judgment as it should. Even if it was assessed by the Home Secretary, the measures are needed to be taken in dealing with this particular direct action group. A wide range of more prominent, proven and effective remedies are available to her. Having to enforce and police the prescription of Palestine Action will create a disproportionate strain on police resources and ensuring additional and unjustified burden on the justice system to enforce such a prescription. It would have left many ordinary members of the public vulnerable. For example, where simply wearing a t-shirt saying "I support Palestine Action" would be seen as violating the prescription, and action would need to be taken. There are many dangers to prescribing peaceful direct action groups, even if those objectives are some of us many disagree with. Current and future governments may misuse this precedent to attack other interest groups in the future, offering no avenues for peaceful violent dissent. Bottling public anger and frustration creates the breeding ground for violence by and against members of the public. It is hoped that the Home Secretary will recognise both the moral arguments and the strength of feeling in civil society in this matter and will reside from this proscription. And this is the list of those who signed it there, just for reference, and about 3,000 others to add to that letter, guys. So that is the actual official letter there. I'd like to think that the Home Secretary would listen, but I'm not convinced right as of right now at the time of this recording that I will be. I'm hoping that it gets stopped in its dead in its track. I think that if they do push it through as a terrorist group, whether it is possible to take this further to the European Convention on Human Rights, if it's possible, by claiming that what they're doing is not the legal definition of terrorism, designating this group, and they don't have sufficient evidence to do so. Now, under the term, the definition of terrorism, and you can find this on the government's own website, there is under it one part of it that they can argue, the government, and there's only one part, and that is causing damage to property. That's the only evidence that they can use. All other meanings of the word of the definition of terrorism does not apply to what everything else that Palestine Action are doing, are counting as peaceful protesting to a certain extent. But maybe some of you disagree. Maybe some of you think that Home Secretary knows what she's doing in this one. Maybe some of you think she's going to U-turn. She may have U-turned by the time you guys see this video. What do you guys honestly think about this? Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting and informative, hit that like button, share it across social media, subscribe if you haven't too already. Check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. And if you want to financially support me and the work that I do here, there's a join button down below so you can become a YouTube member for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.